What is happening, Cowboys Nation? And welcome, hey, pretty special edition of Midday with Cam and Mass, the day before Thanksgiving.
Absolutely, our first.
Right. And it's been a pretty damn good week.
It has.
You know?
It really has.
Yeah.
And I do apologize if I sound a little weird. I am getting over a cold that I had all weekend. So if I sound a little, my voice sounds a little weird, that's the reason why. But yes, it has been a great week outside of my cold. And yeah, just living it up. And a 40 burger to 3 win for the Dallas Cowboys over the Minnesota Vikings, who a lot of people didn't see us winning that game.
No, I mean, you could almost say they were skoleless in Minneapolis.
Well, there was one real, I mean, before the game, there was the skull chant like they always do. But during the game, there was one skull chant, and that was by J-Ron Curse after his sack.
Right.
So J-Ron Curse did his own skull chant for the fans there. I don't think they probably appreciated it too much, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah. The one thing I regret is that nobody did the Kirk Cousins chain dance after sacking him.
That would have been good. That would be something that I would think D-Law would have done. But,
right. So, I have to say, and I said this yesterday on the show with Stevie J, that was the most complete performance I have seen out of any team in the NFL this season. It executed perfectly, offense, defense, special teams. You could not have asked for a more well-rounded, perfect performance.
Yeah, absolutely. And, like you said, you got it on all three phases. It was just perfect. I mean, special teams, you had 3 50-yard field goals. One of them was a 60-yarder. Really, he hit the 60-yarder twice. So it's 4, and it was just a perfectly executed game. And on all three phases, they were playing great. And you look at if you go back, and you can go back and look at Micah Parsons' tweets, he was very upset about the defense's performance after last Sunday against the Packers. Right. And he kept saying, you guys don't understand how hungry I am. You guys don't understand what I'm about to do. And he backed it up.
No, he did. And I have to laugh, in case everybody hadn't gotten a chance to. The sounds of the sideline came out yesterday, and I have to laugh at a couple of different things. Number one, how ticked off Micah was arguing about not being able to be out there. That he wanted to be in there till 4 minutes left, and there was 8 minutes left. And then Diggs also the same thing.
Diggs was arguing with Harris,
Yeah, and I've got to love, and he was being told it's coming from upstairs. So, Dan Quinn is up there laughing.
Oh, he's on the headset. He's on the headset with Dan,
But he's giggling and he's laughing. And then Micah kind of stomps around and is like, well, fine, I'm not practicing. And Sam Williams pops up and goes, you don't practice anyways.
I thought the best part of that was when he's arguing on the headphones. And I'm assuming it's Dan Quinn. I don't know for sure, but I'm assuming it's Dan Quinn. And he's arguing. And then George Edwards, the linebacker coach, is right next to him and goes, we play on Thursday, man. We play on Thursday. And Micah Parsons looks at him like, who are you? Like, he looks at him like, and he says, what does that even mean?
Right. Yeah.
It was great.
I absolutely loved watching this team, the fire that they had, the resolve that they needed from the week before. You were absolutely right. Come out and play on that kind of emotion. I think it was a smack in the face that they needed.
Yeah.
And I kind of posed this question to Stevie J yesterday. I'm going to pose this question to you. It seems like they've switched gears and that we're finally seeing the gelled team together now that Dak is back.
Yeah.
That we've had puzzle pieces and now we have to put it together.
It's very possible. It looks very possible that's what's happening. Dak came out before the game, said, hey, this is a playoff game. We got to treat it like a playoff game. They came out and they handled their business. It looked like the team was, like you said, we've already mentioned they gelled on all three phases of the game. I do have to say something. There's sometimes where a quarterback has a team that they just feel good against. And it doesn't matter like what year or if it's the same players. It's just like this team and this logo I'm going to play good against. Aaron Rodgers has that against the Dallas Cowboys. It doesn't matter what players are playing for the Dallas Cowboys. Aaron Rodgers just shows up and plays great against the Cowboys. It seems like the Vikings are that team for Dak.
Right.
And arguably, if you go back throughout Dak's all games, he's had a ton of great games. I think his best game he's ever played might have been 2019 in Dallas against Minnesota. Yes, we lost that game, but Dak was incredible in that game. And I think it was probably his best game until Sunday. I think Sunday might have been his best game ever. He didn't put up unbelievable yardage or anything like that. He didn't put up unbelievable touchdowns. He was just so incredibly efficient and just picked apart the Vikings defense like they were nothing. It was beautiful.
Right. And I've got to shout out to the offensive line that gave him the time and the opportunity, not only to give Dak time to throw, but the holes that they punched for Pollard and Zeke to be able to have that running game that they did. Zach Martin, that was prime time, beautiful Zach Martin play. And tandem with him and Steele was
in the run
insane.
Game, they're beast. Yeah.
Yeah. It was, I just, my eyes kept going to the two of them a lot during that game and just seeing them move people. And it was beautiful, just absolutely gorgeous, which kind of leads us into our next part of that Tony Pollard run game. Actually, Tony Pollard's game altogether, because not only was he running beautifully, he was receiving amazing on top of that.
Yeah, he really was. I said before the year started, one of my X Factor player was Tony Pollard. And what's up, TC? Was Tony Pollard in that, not only like in the run game, but we need to get Tony Pollard involved as a receiver because he was a receiver at Memphis.
Right.
Like that's what his primary role was at Memphis, as a receiver. Now I get it. Like Jeff Kavanaugh makes this point all the time. Like everybody's like, oh, you have a receiving back, use him as a receiver. Like most of the time a running back isn't as good at running routes and catching the ball as your typical receivers. Tony Pollard is, because like I said, he was a receiver at Memphis. He has the ability to do that. So I've been pounding the table saying, hey, use this guy as a receiver more because he has that type of skill. And I think we saw it on full display on Sunday, where not only did he take a little dump off pass 30 yards untouched for a TD, but he came out on the backfield on a wheel route, burnt the linebacker. Dak beautifully placed ball right in his hands, 68 yards untouched. Right. Like Tony Pollard has a unique skill set, and they need to exploit it more. And I think that they're finding ways to do that.
Right, and in a lot of the same ways that San Francisco is using Debo in that same kind of capacity. So then that brings us to the big question, free agency 2023, Tony Pollard free agent. I don't want to see him go somewhere else. I don't want them to think they can pick somebody else up like this out of the draft and replace him.
Yeah, it's a difficult question because what do you pay a running back? And how long of a contract do you give a running back? How long does Tony Pollard's speed last? Like once that speed goes away, he starts to slow down, it's not as effective. So that's the big thing. And it's a difficult question. So yes, I want to pay Pollard. Yes, I want to keep Pollard, but it really depends on what Pollard's looking for. If he's looking for like a Zeke-like contract,
right,
I'm not paying that. I'm sorry.
Right. Let me run some numbers down for you. Okay, so these are cap hits for 2023 for the top running backs. You got Aaron Jones at $20 million. Bless your heart, Green Bay. Whatever. Zeke is going to hit us for 16.7. Kamara for 16. Derrick Henry 15.8. Nick Chubb 14.8. Dalvin Cook 14.1. Joe Mixon 12.8. McCaffrey is going to hit San Fran for 12 million. James Conner for 10 million. Now you're going to kind of get into that area that Tony, I mean, you're in that, start to get in the area that I think Tony's going to be looking for. And Fournette, 8.5. Eckler, 7.2. Chase Edmonds, 6. Gus Edwards, 5.6. Cordell Patterson, 5.5. And he's definitely going to, you know.
If you tell me you can get Pollard for 3-4 years for 9 to 10 million a year, I'm all in.
Right. Right.
I'm not doing much more than that, to be honest with you. And I hate to say it. I don't know what the franchise tag number is for running back next year. So I'd have to look at that. But if you're telling me you can get him for 9 to 10 million for 3 to 4 years, I can live with that. Then that would have to be with either getting rid of Zeke's contract or Zeke taking a significant pay cut. Because I'm not paying 2 running backs ridiculous money. The only way you re-sign Pollard is if you release Zeke or Zeke takes a significant pay cut. Because if you don't want to release Zeke or Zeke refuses to take a pay cut, you can't re-sign Pollard. It's just not going to happen.
Franchise tag. Projected for next year, 12.6.
That's a little rich, but I might be willing to do it for a year.
That's kind of the tag money that it would keep to keep Schultz.
Oh, we're not keeping Schultz.
Bye. But yeah, it's
I might
just love
I might
the
tag him for a year. Yeah, I might tag him for a year at that. But I'm not signing him to a multi-year deal at that average.
Right. And then does that, I mean, that could work out in that way because Zeke's contract is up after that, or we have an easier out this year on his contract, right?
Yeah, we save money if we release Zeke this year after this season. We save money. We're out of the guaranteed money now. This is the last year of the guaranteed money in his contract.
And do you feel okay with Zeke being gone, or?
I'm fine. Like, I would like to keep Zeke at a reduced contract. Like, if he says, hey, I'll restructure, I'll take a pay cut, blah, 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 then I'm fine. But if Zeke is firm on like, hey, I'm not taking a pay cut, which I think would be dumb of him. But if he's firm on that, then I would release him because I'm not paying him that much money at all.
I'm not even going to put the money into it. I'm not going to. Jerry Jones loves Zeke.
He does.
He loves him. And I just see.
But Stephen Jones loves money.
Right. And they can have their little battle and whatever they need to do. I don't know if this is one that Jerry just puts his foot down and is like, absolutely not. This is my guy. I love him. I just, that's what is deep in my heart, that I just can't see that Jerry's going to say goodbye.
Honestly, I don't see any way that Zeke is here next year on his same contract. I just don't see any way. It's just.
And I can agree to that. I mean, they did it to Tank. They're asking them to do some of these things. Yeah. So, and especially when we do have to consider some of the free agents that we have coming up. And, and what was it? I counted, 26, 27 free agents on this next roster, and 1 or 2 of them are only restricted. Yeah. So they're going to have a lot of work to do with it. But, the Kool-Aid drinking Cowboy fan that I told myself I would not be all year long, and I'm still not completely there. I just love that tandem of Pollard and Zeke. They both bring 2 different things to the table. I need Cowboy Nation to stop saying, that we can have Pollard and don't need Zeke because they do 2 different things. We don't see Pollard punching through that line and getting that 3 to 4 crucial yards, or when we're down on the goal line to bust through. in those power positions, but we definitely have him doing the finesse.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's my
And look,
dog
I think
wanting to kill
I think
someone
they're
right
a
now.
great I think they're a great 1-2 punch. And you see, and I think they love and respect each other so much that they don't care how it works. They just want it to work. And you saw that in Zeke's comments today when they're trying to bring up some issues or trying to, media is always trying to stir something up. And they're asked Zeke, like, oh, what do you think about Pollard becoming the bigger role, the bigger star? And he was like, I don't care. Like, as long as it's working and we're winning, that's what we're gonna do. That's what we want to do. So I
because
think
Pollard actually started the game, right?
No, Zeke started the game.
Oh, did he start? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I just caught a little clip there on the
first drive of the game. Zeke started.
Oh, okay.
And then he came out like after the first few plays, I think, and then Pollard came in. But I think it was Zeke that took himself out. Like I think he stood up and like did the whole. You know how sometimes you see Zeke like wave in, like, "Hey, come."
Yeah.
I don't know what the plan was, but
because I saw a little bit from the sidelines thing where he was like, "I'm gonna put Tony in first, and then you come in."
I was gonna mention that because remember a couple weeks ago I was trying to find out of who's making the decisions on what running back rotation, what running back's in, what running back's out. And I got feedback from somebody that I trust that said it's the running backs coach, Pete. And then based on Kellen Moore's formations, and then Mike McCarthy has the final say if he wants to override them, which he probably doesn't very often do. And that kind of confirmed that when they were sitting down and Pete was telling them, like, hey, I'm going to bring him in and I'll bring in you later. Like, hey, Pete's the one making that call. So that was interesting to see that actually be confirmed.
Right. And before I get to TC's comment down below here, I do have to shout out to Kellen Moore for calling such a fantastic game with such balance between the pass and the run.
That's not allowed in Cowboys Nation.
I know. They just want to call him Pizza Boy, and
I've been trying to do that for years. It's not allowed.
Right. Well, you know me. Do I care? No. I'm gonna say it. But so here's the thing. Like TC brings up a really good point. Who's easier to replace in this next draft? And would we actually have to with having Malik Davis on the roster right now?
Yeah, I like Malik Davis's skill set. It is kind of similar to Zeke's skill set. He's not as powerful as Zeke. He's not as explosive as Zeke was when he first came in.
Right.
But what he was when he first came in.
No, but I mean, not many people ever have been that explosive.
Really.
I mean,
but he has like a good skill set in that range. So I do like what Malik Davis brings to the table. I also do like what Rico Dowdle brings. Unfortunately, he has not been able to stay healthy on this team the last 2 years. He's got injuries. So I don't know what his future holds, but I know they like Malik Davis a lot. I like Malik Davis, so we'll have to see because he might be somebody that can come in and fill a role if one of them's not signed or one of them's not here next year.
Right. Let's talk a little bit about the NFC. Number one, what a shift in powers that be in the NFC. That no longer do we hear the NFC least. I mean, you cannot even come close because I mean, crazy to say the way that Washington has figured out some things with Heineke and what's going on there. The NFC East could have their winner and the other three teams take up the wild card positions.
Yeah.
Is the way that things are going right now.
With the new playoff expansion, it would be the first time in NFL history that every team in a division makes it. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is just because the division is just going to eat itself.
Yes. Right.
I just think, Washington's probably going to fall off, to be honest.
I mean, because what the Eagles still have to play Washington twice. Is that correct?
No, Eagles are done with Washington.
Oh, okay.
They split 1-1 already.
Okay. Okay. So it's the
The
Giants.
Eagles have to play Giants twice, and then they have to play us, the
Right.
Giants, and we have to play all three of them one more time.
Right. Right.
So I just think the division is really going to eat itself, to be honest with you.
And that makes sense.
And we'll just have to go with, we'll see how it turns out. But I think Washington's probably going to fall off. New York's probably going to fall off a little bit too. I don't know if they'll fall off enough to miss the playoffs just because they're sitting really good. But then again, Washington's one game behind them. So one game behind us too.
It could be, right.
A game and a half, but yeah.
Right. And I mean, we definitely have seen that shift. You know, the NFC West has been super powerful the last 2-3 years. And now, I mean, the Rams and the Cardinals are just a joke. I mean, they are having a bad year. I mean, kudos to the Rams for going all in, but they're, it's not their year this year.
I will take a last place finish next year for a Super Bowl win this year.
Absolutely. You know, after the 26 years that we've suffered, I'll take the podium for 1 year and go down. But we do have to talk about I see 3 teams that have emerged in the NFC as the top.
Okay.
The Eagles, us, and the Niners. And I'm not seeing anyone else. The Seahawks, they're such an unknown. I can't say they're a power, to tell you the truth. I mean, they could sneak this thing in and be up there. I just am looking at the talent and the way that everybody's playing right now, that those are I see as the 3 strongest teams in the NFC right now.
It's interesting because I agree with your first 2 with the Eagles and us. The Niners are an interesting case for me. And I know I get a lot of flack for this because they match up with us really well.
Right.
Because they have for a couple of years, they've just, they're they can rush with only 4 linemen and they run the ball really well. And that just matches up against us really well. And they beat us last year in the playoffs. But they're 6-4 and they're 4-0 in the NFC West, which you just talked about how the NFC West is not strong. So they're 4-0 and they're 2-4 against everybody else outside of that division. Now I get it. Yes, they started 1-2, with Trey Lance's quarterback. Since Jimmy G's come in, they've played a lot better, but they've played mostly their own division. They got shellacked by the Chiefs.
Right.
They lost to the Falcons. So that was with Jimmy G, so they're an interesting study just because they can turn it on late. They could be turning it on late like they did last year. So I think I have to see more from the 49ers, but I think they match up against us really well. But I don't know how they match up against everybody else.
Right. Do you feel like, with the Eagles starting off with the record they did and their gameplay they did, that they peaked early? Yes. And we may see a decline, and we're starting to peak now and going into December, which is rather strange for us. Right. That normally us going into December, we are like hanging together by Band-Aids and, being wrapped up and sitting there waiting for guys to come back off of injuries, and maybe it'll give us that last minute push. Where really at this point in time, I mean, the names that we're waiting for is Tyron Smith and Washington. Yeah. As far as coming back from injury.
Yeah, I agree with that. And if I don't really want to make it too much about the Eagles, but just looking at their next 5 games, I could see them losing 2 to 3 of those. And this honestly, if we're going to go through it, the Packers, I mean, that's a possible loss, possible win, probably a win, but it's possible. The Titans, that's definitely could see them lose the Titans.
I can actually see us losing to the Titans.
Titans are a
the
good
game.
team.
That's the game I have circled on our calendar.
Yeah. And then the Giants, I
Right.
could see them losing a game to the Giants, the Bears, they're probably going to beat the Bears. And then us, I see them losing to us.
Right.
So depending on how they play the Titans and Giants, I think they could lose 2 to 3 of the next 5 games, so we'll just have to see how they play and how they go. But right now they are not playing their best football the last 3 weeks.
No, absolutely not. I mean, look what they did against the Texans. And then, the Colts this week.
Struggled against the Texans, lost to the Commanders, and then struggled against the Colts and barely beat them by 1 point.
Right. So I just find it interesting, the shift that has happened in the NFC. That you've got to start looking at the NFC North is now the weak conference or division in this conference. We know the NFC South, who that one's.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm pulling for the Falcons to win that.
They seem like they're pulling some stuff together, and that they're not.
They're struggling. They're in and out. They're currently, what are they? They're currently second in the division with this. They're half game behind the Buccaneers.
Right.
I'm pulling for them to win just because I just don't want Tom Brady to get into the playoffs and realize, oh yeah, I'm Tom Brady, and now you got playoff Tom Brady playing. That's the only reason that I would pull for the Falcons, to be honest with you. And right now, if you look at the playoff breakdown, if the season ended today, we're playing the Bucs round 1.
I don't hate that. I don't absolutely hate that at all.
It's just playoff Tom Brady. Do you want to?
I know. I mean, you're right. You never want to look across the line and see Vita Vea and some of that defense. But yeah, there's that. I can say that, I don't want to see the Niners in round 1 again. I absolutely don't.
I can agree with that.
But, okay, we saw an image and we've heard this giant tower of a man is back on the field practicing. I think a lot sooner than anybody had expected, especially with such a horrific injury. I mean, it made me cringe to think about the hamstring completely detaching from the bone. But Mr. Tyron Smith, he's there.
Yeah, and he looks in incredible shape.
Right.
He always does, but he looks really, really good. Look, I'll admit that I have my questions about Tyron Smith's motivation to even come back once that injury happened, and whether he was going to come back at all. And if he didn't, then he was, his career was going to be over, and we were going to just move on. He has fought extremely hard to come back, and he's coming back quicker than anybody expected. And as you probably know, Jerry Jones came out and said, look, when he's back, he's our starting left tackle. Tyler Smith will move inside. Super excited about that move. Honestly, super excited about that move, and I cannot wait for it to happen.
Yeah. I mean, I'm feeling so much more confident about this defensive line or offensive line. I mean, the sheer fact that great, right? The lunatic's correct on that one. The fact that we went from, absolutely living in fear during the off season and during camp about our offensive line to seeing how good, like I mentioned earlier, that Martin and Steele are on that right side. Biotish, kudos to him. Much better play. he was one that I was questioning all the time. I think he's playing much more solid. But to be able to bring Tyler in at left guard and have Tyron out there at tackle, knowing that Jason Peters is back there to help out Tyron at left tackle when he needs the break and everything like that. I'm not feeling when we had that defensive or offensive line that we had in 2016 and that kind of solid, but I'm feeling more solid than I think I have in years about it.
I agree with you, but I'm sorry, just some news just came out and it's wow. No C Walker just tweeted out that Tack McKinley has been elevated from the practice squad for the Thanksgiving game, and Avante Collins has been elevated as well. That leads me to some questions on, is someone not playing on the defensive line?
Right.
Is someone not going to be able to go? Because why is Tack McKinley coming up? I know DeMarcus Lawrence and Dante Fowler are having illness, but Mike McCarthy said that everybody should be good to go by tomorrow. That's what he said in his press conference today. So I'm a little worried right now. I'm sorry that we're kind of putting this show on stops, but I think this is important to try to figure something out.
ESPN has Osa and Hankins as questionable. Were they Dante Fowler's?
Hankins is questionable with a illness.
Okay. So let me.
No, Hankins is doubtful. I'm sorry. He is doubtful. Anthony Barr is out. Okay, so here's Terrell Basham is doubtful with an illness.
Okay.
Maybe it's Terrell Basham that they are they're bringing him up to replace.
Because Osa was his knee, and he was limited on Monday in practice.
When he was limited today, and he's questionable for the game. Okay. DeMarcus Lawrence is questionable. He was limited today. DeMarcus Lawrence was limited. So I think Tank is okay. Sorry to freak anybody out.
No, but I mean, legitimate questions, legitimate.
So it looks like Terrell Basham is going to be your guy who is being replaced by Tack McKinley. Now, don't quote me on this. I'm not 100% sure. I'm just going off of the injury report that he is listed as doubtful. And Tank is questionable, and Tank was a limited participant in practice today. And Mike McCarthy said people who have the illness were going to get past it, even though Basham is doubtful for the illness. But the fact that he's doubtful leads me to believe is that Tack is being called up to replace him.
Interesting. People are questioning.
I don't think that it's Lawrence just because he was a limited participant today. Right.
And I'm not seeing who they're saying it could be. But as long as it's not Tank.
That was
I definitely feel like we need Hankins in there in the middle, dealing with Saquon. We'll go back to
he's doubtful, so that's a little worrisome.
Right.
But I will say, if you watch the game, and Cam, we talked about this during the game. Van Der Esch, was filling the holes, making some good hits, but so was Clark. Yes. I really, really liked Clark's game against Minnesota. He was he was reacting better. He was making some hits. So the linebackers are looking like they're playing a little bit better. I honestly don't think the way Clark is improving and playing it, I don't know if Barr gets his starting job back. Just keep going with the rookie because he looks like he's playing fine. And we'll go from there. But it is going to stink a little bit that Hankins is out. But the good thing is how many offensive linemen they have out this week.
Right. And they are definitely, right as of right now, The only position that is
Oh my
not
gosh.
questionable is Mark
So this
Lewinsky,
is a list of the players they have out. Daniel Bellinger, their tight ends, out.
Right.
Josh Azuda.
I couldn't say his name yesterday either.
He's a backup. He's the
Right.
backup left guard. He is out.
Right.
John Feliciano, their starting center, out.
Yes.
Adoree Jackson, their starting cornerback, out. Fabian Moreau, their other starting cornerback, out. Guard Tyree Phillips is questionable. Tackle Evan Neal, out.
Oh, he's out. Okay, my list said questionable. Wow, that's huge. Because his backup, Tyree Phillips, not sure how he says it, is questionable.
And also the other guard, Shane Lemieux, out.
Oh, gosh, I had him as questionable.
And Andrew Thomas, questionable. Their entire starting offensive line is either questionable or out. They have 3 guys that are out, and they have 2 guys that are questionable, and one of their backup guards is out.
And we haven't even gotten to talk about their wide receiving core, which is tore up, absolutely tore up.
Sterling Shepard, he's out for the year.
Right.
Wan'Dale Robinson, he's out for the year.
Right. They lost Colin Johnson, Richie James.
They traded Tony.
Right.
But they have Holiday. What is Richie?
That's cute.
Richie James is also questionable.
Right. Yeah. Richie James is questionable there. Yeah. And
Daniel Jones is going to be throwing lobs up in the air and trying to go run to catch it himself.
Right. And you got Saquon. He's going to have Saquon, who we know runs for 3, runs for 4, runs for -4, and then busts one off, so.
TC, you are absolutely correct here if you're talking about special teams.
Right. Because I will have my football husband had himself a game on Sunday.
Yes, he did.
He had himself
What's
a
up,
game.
Gregory?
Hey, Gregory. But yeah.
So sorry, we kind of changed the topic there just because these injury reports really, and usually these injury reports don't come out on Thursdays until after our show is done. But because the game is tomorrow, we got a little break in show, so we're able to update you in case you weren't following it. So little breaking news for you here.
And it should also be known that Adoree Jackson was their punt returner, and Richie James, who is questionable, was his backup on punt return.
That's great because the Adoree Jackson got hurt on a punt return.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you don't have your starting guys, like your big-time starting guys, as your special teams punt returners, kick returners, stuff like that. Because that's a huge blow because they already have the quarterback number 2 is out with Fabian Moreau. Right. Now you have your backup. Your other starting, so you got 2 backups in there now. Yeah.
And we haven't even really touched on their defense and what's going on. Xavier McKinney, out.
Yeah. McKinney's out, yeah.
Yeah. That secondary is looking as thin as their offensive line.
And that was their strength.
Right. Right now, I'm looking at this, and the only person that doesn't have an out or a questionable next to them is Julian Love and Cordell Flott.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah, that guy. And that's, we're talking corners and safeties.
Look, I don't believe in curses. I don't believe
Nick
in
McLeod. Sorry.
I don't believe in curses. I don't believe in bad luck and all this thing. I do have my superstitions where I wear my same clothes as we win and stuff like that.
Right.
But I don't believe in hey, the Cowboys are bad on Thanksgiving and stuff like that. No. I know they haven't been good lately, but overall they've have a winning record on Thanksgiving, stuff like that. But if we go out and lose this game to this Giants team with how banged up they are, I might start believing in a Thanksgiving curse.
Right.
Because
next year I will change it, and it will be a different holiday. We will not be eating turkey
on Sunday.
Right.
If we go home and lose to a Giants team that has this team this many injured players. I might believe in the Thanksgiving curse, and I might petition the NFL to end the tradition.
Right. Yeah. No, I will not. I absolutely will. Nope. We will change the name of the holiday. We will change the food that is eaten. We will not be. Oh, TC's on one today.
Yeah, he is.
So knowing this, what would your plan be with this going forward for this game? If you were, okay, let's start off with this. If you were Dan Quinn, what is your plan tomorrow?
If I'm Dan Quinn, I am rushing 4. And I'm just playing solid defense, and I'm letting my defensive line with Micah Parsons on the defensive line.
Right.
Move them around a little bit. Yeah. Confuse them, like line them up at linebacker every once in a while if you're going to blitz them, line them up at nose tackle or anything like that. But have that defensive line there and just rush those 4, because if our 4 can get home against that offensive line, absolutely 100%. And, make sure I do want to spy, because remember what happened last game in the first half. We rushed and Daniel Jones just took off over and over again. We need to make sure we have a better plan like we did in the second half of that game. We're stopping that where Daniel Jones can't. So have like a Damone Clark would be a perfect example of Damone Clark. Hey, stay in your position. You're spying Daniel Jones, because Damone Clark has the speed.
Right.
So I think Damone Clark would be a perfect example to be a spy in this game and to keep Daniel Jones from bursting out and getting those big runs. You also just got to be careful about Barkley. Obviously, that's their strength on offense, is running the ball and getting Barkley going. If you can hold Barkley down like you did with Cook last week and get a lead, then you force them to abandon that, and that's how you're gonna beat them. So Dan Quinn needs to focus on Barkley, focus on I think our defensive line is going to dominate. Just make sure that Daniel Jones isn't sneaking out the pocket up through a gap and getting big runs and can extending drives with his legs.
Right. And I do have to point out the gameplay of Sam Williams last weekend was absolutely fantastic.
Oh, yeah. He's getting better and better by the week. He really is. He's getting more snaps. He's getting better and better. Let me say this. Okay. Lunatic, 100% right.
Yes.
Start fast. And I've been screaming at this, and I've mentioned it last week. We need to the worst thing a coach can do to start the game is choose to receive the ball to start the game. And we did that against the Packers because Mike McCarthy was emotional. He wanted to get off to a good start, and we didn't do anything, and they got the ball back. And you take away your ability to double dip at the second half for no reason. Well, look what the Vikings did against us. Vikings won the coin toss, and the Vikings chose to receive, made that same mistake. What happened? The first 2 downs, didn't get it. 3rd down, strip sack. Now the Cowboys have the ball in their territory like it was our first possession, and then we get to double dip at halftime. And really what happened is because of the way the defense played is the Cowboys scored a touchdown with under 2 minutes left, stopped them, and were able to get downfield enough to kick another field goal. So 10 points under 2 minutes left in the half, and then they got the ball to start the second half. You need to defer.
Yeah. I think I mentioned this yesterday. I would like to look at the history of how many times that a coach hasn't deferred and that it worked out for them in that way. I do love the fact that somehow, and I'm not quite sure how Jerry managed to do it, because Goodell and the way that they schedule that our schedule every year, we're normally playing next Thursday also. And we're not this time. We're actually going to have 10 days to recover from this game.
Yeah, that's interesting because our second Thursday night game doesn't come until later in the year. I think is it the Colts or
No, Colts is Sunday
Titans?
night. Colts,
Titans?
it's Titans. It's a Thursday
Okay.
night in between Christmas and New Year's. And we didn't get flexed out of Sunday night with the Colts. They would have had to have done it by yesterday, and that is passed. And so they definitely are playing Saturday
They
or
switched
Sunday
it up
night.
this year, so I'm kind of glad they did. Gives us 2 windows of a 10-day break, so like 2 mini buys late in the year. So I actually like this way better than the back-to-back Thursday nights, and you only get 1 10-day mini buy. So really this year they kind of benefits the Cowboys the way they did it and getting 2 mini buys there back-to-back.
Yeah. I'm not super crazy that, one of the short periods is the Eagles on Christmas Eve, and then because that'll be, and then 4 days later, we're facing the Titans, but hopefully, conditioning and everybody in the right mood, we'll do fine with that. Anything about their defense, like their defensive line, what they have going on with the Giants? They do have some guys on that defensive line.
They do.
And
Ojulari,
how do we attack that?
Ojulari, we know, is still out. He's not going to play. Thibodeau is in. He's a rookie, talented guy, but still a rookie. He hasn't really dominated this year, but he's there. I don't think he's going to do. Leonard Williams. Their strength on that defensive line is Leonard Williams and Dexter Lawrence in the middle. That's their strength. And we got to remember, last time we played them, Leonard Williams didn't play. He was injured. He's their best defensive player. So that's going to be something we're going to have to account for. Like, hey, their best defensive player, their strongest guy is in the middle of the line. He's going to be lined up against McGovern and Martin and Biotish a lot. If I was them, I would kind of flip. He's mostly on the left side of the defensive line, so that would put him against Martin. If I was them, I would flip that and put him over on against McGovern more, but we'll see if they do that. I don't know. Sometimes they just keep him there.
And just to make a point, their starting linebackers, Jalen Smith.
Yeah. So a lot of missed tackles and then diving on piles after the tackle's made. It's going to be happening.
Hendershot and Ferg could have a fun time with him.
Oh, yeah. So, their defense has really been the strength of this team, honestly. But I have a feeling, and somebody said it, and I don't remember who said it, so I do apologize. It was on one of the big media shows, so I do apologize. I'm not trying to steal any credit from them. But basically, if the Cowboys score like 24 points, it's going to be really hard for the Giants to keep up. So if the Cowboys offense can be, what do you say? Something of note. If Vegas moves the line.
They've moved the line this morning to 9.5. Yeah.
Wow. That's
and before the injury report came out, because I got a message about that at probably 9:30, 10 o'clock this morning that Vegas had moved it. So I'd be interesting if they do it again.
Yeah, honestly. So look, I don't think they have enough firepower to keep up with us. And their defense, especially with their defense, their offense is so injured right now too. They're just really beat up.
But they're secondary. They
have no secondary.
None.
Dak and these receivers should be able to eat. Should be able to eat. Zeke and Pollard should be able to dominate.
And I do have to mention that we got a 100 from the beginning to the end game out of CeeDee Lamb. There
Yeah.
was no screw up and redemption CD had to show up. That catch on the sideline, I could have sworn that I was
amazing.
watching Gallup or Lockett or D-Hop catching that ball in that manner.
Well, you
That
see
was
that on the Sounds of the Sideline. Gallup told him it's a copycat league. You're
right,
copying me, with your toe
right.
drag.
Yeah, but no, that was beautiful. I mean, I saw a breakdown of exactly they figured out how close he was to the line, at what angle he was when he actually caught the ball. And they were like, some nerdy scientists, shout out to you, nerdy scientists, love you guys. But he kind of like figured out that he probably could not have been at any lower of angle and still been able to catch the ball and stay in bounds. Like, he had pushed the physical limits to the edge that he could.
I think what they said, I think it was Next Gen Stats, said that it was a 7% chance of a completion.
Yeah.
Based on the throw and the catch. And 7% chance of a completion. You got it.
Loved it. Yeah.
Great play. And it's,
right.
Hey, it was a little bittersweet because it was reminiscent. It was the exact same play call that Mike McCarthy used to beat the Cowboys in the playoffs in 2016.
Right, right. And I got a bone to pick with New York. You know what, New York?
Oh, yeah.
What? We're going to review it after we're already lined up, gonna kick a field goal. The field goal goes off, and then you're going to call down and say you want to review it? Come on.
Here's the thing what really upsets me is there was a timeout
right.
called in between. There was a catch.
Right.
Then a timeout.
Right.
Then lining up.
Right.
Then a field goal. And then they go, oh, wait, we stopped it because, why did you wait that long?
In the history of ever has that happened?
It took so long. And it was like, if you were going to review it, you should have known right away, hey, we need to review this.
Right.
You shouldn't have waited that long. It was just it was ridiculous to wait that long. But you know what? Money Maher said, I don't care.
Yeah. He kicked the second one better than the first.
Yeah, he did.
He was like, all right, watch. I'll do this better the next time. So, okay, before we get to our predictions and our bold predictions, since it is Thanksgiving, give me what your favorite Thanksgiving dish is and something you're thankful for.
My favorite Thanksgiving dish is 100% cranberry sauce in the can.
In the can with the ridges.
With the ridges, so I know where to slice it down. I do not care about your grandma's secret cranberry sauce recipe. It's got nothing on the can version. Okay? Get that out of here. Don't be bringing your special recipe for cranberry sauce to my Thanksgiving dinner. Bring the can.
Nice.
All right?
Nice.
That's the lunatics got it. Something I am thankful for always. I'm thankful for my family, my wife, and my 3 kids. They mean everything to me. I don't deserve them, but I'm thankful that they stick around. They're here with me. So that's the thing I'm most thankful for. What about you, Kim?
Okay, this is a weird, crazy thing, but and out of all the food that we eat, traditional Thanksgiving, gravy. Because that gravy, I mean, you can put it on just about everything, and then you make that gravy sandwich. And this is a shout out to friends because, Joey doesn't share food. So I thought this cup would be appropriate, but we kind of make that same kind of sandwich that Ross lost his mind on, that when you make the turkey sandwich, you take a piece of bread and you dunk it in the gravy and just get it all soaked. And you put that extra piece of bread in the middle. Oh, gravy makes it for me.
What in the world is a broccoli bake?
I mean, I know what a broccoli bake is, but we don't do that.
I have no idea what a broccoli bake is, and it doesn't sound good to me. So I'm sorry, TC. You'd have to educate me. I'm willing to try it.
Right. I love broccoli.
But I don't know what that is.
Right.
So
My next is, and it's a shout out to the Great Northwest, is that we make a Dungeness crab salad. And
okay.
And it in years past, we now have to shred the Dungeness up into smaller pieces because once upon a time, especially when we would be with a lot of the extended family, they would go and pick out all the big pieces. And so now it must be shredded. So, but that one's pretty good. And I am thankful. I mean, number one, my son. I mean, I have an amazing kid. He's about to enter his last semester of pre-med and off to be, head off to med school and, try and change the world as a radiologist. Definitely him. But I am very thankful for Pick Six Sports and this platform, having you and Stevie J as amazing co-hosts on it, and our Midday fam that hangs out with us every single time.
We love you guys. We're very thankful for you guys. Very thankful for you guys. Take the time to listen to us and hear our opinions for what they're worth, and we appreciate you. We love interacting with you guys in the chat. So definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Predictions.
Send it to me, TC. I need it.
Yeah.
All right, predictions.
Yeah.
You want me to go first, or you want to go first?
No, you go ahead. Take the lead.
I think this is going to be another slaughter. Man, do I do it?
You go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm going to say we get another 40 burger. I am going 42-10 Dallas Cowboys. 42-10.
Perfect.
And my breakout, not necessarily breakout player, but my main guy, my MVP of the game. Or let's go bold prediction. You want to go bold prediction? You want to go MVP? Bold prediction?
Go whichever. It's a holiday week. We do whatever we want.
Well, I'm going to do both then. So it's a holiday.
All right. That's right.
So my MVP, my main person of the game, is going to be Micah Parsons. And then I'm going to say my bold prediction is that we're going to get Turpentine this week.
Ooh.
And we're going to have a Turpin TD.
Nice.
Either punt. I'm not going to either punt or, I will. Punt return.
Okay.
Punt return TD.
All right.
For Turpin. He's finally going to break it.
Nice.
There we go.
Okay. So my prediction. I have learned that if I say 40 burger, it doesn't happen. And when I don't say 40 burger, it happens. And I believe my prediction yesterday before this injury report, I think I said 34-10.
Okay.
I'm going to push the limit on my said superstition. And I'm going to say 39-10.
So this is like Maher and his 59-yard field goal. You don't want to go, right. you want that 60, but yeah, I get you. I'm going
to say 39-10. I am giving them 10 points just because of the Saquon can bust one off thing.
Yep.
And I'll give them the grace of a field goal. 39-10. My big player of the week, I'm going to go with Tank. And saying Tank
I like that.
Is going to roll into my bold prediction. Of this decimated offensive line, okay, I'm going to go crazy. Because how many sacks did we have last week?
7.
9.
Ooh.
9.
We're trying to break the sack record, this team.
Yeah. And, I mean, look at that offensive line. Tell me it can't happen.
Oh, it can happen.
9.
We should have had 8 last week, but Micah Parsons thought Cousins already threw the ball.
Right. Yeah. So, Land with a pick six. All right.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Right. But
I think
you know,
I think this game is going to be. We both got the Giants with 10.
yeah.
I just got them with I just got the Cowboys with an extra field goal for you.
Right.
Over you.
Well, I would say that extra field goal, but
no, I understand. I understand what you're saying.
we know what I'm saying, but I'm not saying it. So, but
absolutely, I think it's going to be a great Thanksgiving holiday for all of us, for Cowboys Nations. I think we're going to feel really good about it. I think we're going to feel good about going into after Thanksgiving being 8-3 and feeling a lot better than we felt last year.
Right.
At this time, honestly.
Right.
I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be a good day. I really hope you guys have a wonderful Thanksgiving. I hope you enjoy time with your family and friends, whoever you're with. A big thing for me is mental health. So if you're out there, if you're struggling at all, it's the holidays. It's the most difficult time of the year for some people. So reach out to somebody, talk to somebody. Don't keep it bottled up inside. If you don't have anybody, reach out to me. My DMs are open. Talk to me 100% all the time. You can always reach out to me, and I will do the best I can to help you out. So that's really something that I like to push during the holidays because mental health is so important. And don't keep it bottled up inside. It doesn't make you a tough person. Make sure you reach out to somebody and help everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Same goes here. I'm always willing to lend an ear and listen and do what I can. So also tonight, tune into the Pick Six Sports Show with Nick's Spoonie, Professor O, and Mary.
Yes, make sure you tune into the Pick Six Sports Show tonight. They're going to have some great content for you as well. Absolutely. CC kills me sometimes.
I know. Sometimes I'm just going to have to kind of go like this to the chat over there. But yeah, definitely tune in for them. Tomorrow I've been calling this the OBJ Bowl. I'm not sure if I need to call it that anymore.
It's going to be the Slaughter Bowl, but
it's between their turf and what's gone on and the way this team's decimated, you got to think that Dallas is looking a whole lot better for that visit after Thanksgiving for him.
All we needed was them chanting, "We want Dallas" last week.
Right.
Unfortunately, they had to lose to the Lions, so they weren't that confident.
Right. Yeah, but they could have just helped us out a little bit.
Right.
But
it happens. But we'll have a good one.
Right. Well, happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Thanks for being a part of our special Thanksgiving Day or pre-Thanksgiving Day special, and we'll definitely see you on the other side of the game. Go Cowboys.
Have a good one, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving.